participation and other external links to valuable tools, resources, and best practices to you. So that's our goal, is to bring forward resources to our Mississippi companies. Part of the successes that we've seen in the recent years of MDEQ's pollution prevention program is in the area of E3, economy, energy, and the environment. These are on-site audits where we organize and orchestrate a three-part series of teams that come into a facility and do on-site assessments and audits in the areas of lean and green, environment, and health and safety that all tie into the 3 E's on your screen. For those who may be interested in looking into inviting us into your facilities, stay tuned for some information. The Enhanced program has currently 36 members. These are leaders of 3 levels. We have leader, steward, and associate. The application is accepted annually, and it opens July 1st and closes September 30th. We would welcome those who on this call or anyone you know who believes that they have exceeded mere compliance and gone above and exceeded expectations in the field of environmental stewardship, pollution prevention, and an environmental management system that should be worthy of recognition. The department would like to extend an invitation to make application. One of the programs the Enhance team facilitates are things like connecting businesses with various community groups, like a school, for example. This is a good example of our engineer colleague at Nissan has assisted the Rankin County School District in becoming Energy Star certified. I believe the number is about 24 buildings now, if I believe that's right, have been Energy Star certified in Rankin County School District alone. We're wanting to facilitate more opportunities such as this, where our members can reach out and make a real tangible difference in energy efficiency. Another is training at facilities. Back in September, we had an E3 training event held at Toyota in Blue Springs, Mississippi. There we had a presentation of environmental management systems and energy audit strategies, and they hosted a variety of environmental professionals and energy efficiency managers to come together and share their story of how they manage their metrics at Toyota. And those are the kinds of initiatives that we would hope to be a part of in the future. To apply for the Enhanced Leadership Program, as well as access tools that we've gathered for public consumption, please go to enhance.ms or call myself or Robbie Wilbur at those contacts on your screen. Please visit our website to learn more about the program. On E3, we have a very strong presence in Mississippi. There's a chapter of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and it's called Innovate Mississippi, Innovate MEP Mississippi. They are a pioneer doing a lot of heavy lifting in organizing and identifying experts in this state who have credentials in energy management, environmental auditing, and environmental health and safety. This is part of the private partnership that we facilitate with these folks on the screen, as well as others around the state and beyond our borders. So the model of E3 is that providers, technical assistants, people who have these skill sets and tools are gathered, and we provide on-site technical assistance to medium-sized manufacturers, where we look at wastes, we look at costs, we look at ways that they can be lean and green, and that the ultimate goal is to reduce the environmental footprint, environmental impacts, and in turn gain a competitive advantage. This way we're looking at how costs can be reduced and wastes and the cost to manage and dispose of waste, as well as consumption of water and electricity and other raw materials that has a bottom line effect that is really attractive to a lot of Mississippi industries. So who's eligible? Try to get a small business, 500 employees or less, and we do look for facilities that make practical sense for our model. The NAIC guest codes of 31, 32, and 33 are often a really good fit. I mentioned the three-pronged approach to E3, and the lean and green review is a significant part. This is where we really get into the inner workings of the facility. The energy audit is just what it entails, what it sounds like. We look at heat loss, electricity inefficiencies, lighting, variable speed motors, those kinds of approaches, compressed gas systems, and then we also look at safety and health. Those are the three-pronged approach to an E3 assessment event. So what does it cost? We've had 3 pilots, and we're working on a number of others in the state, and so far we're just learning every time we do these of how to best have the bring in those resources to have the biggest impact. The estimate of this value is looked at as much as $15,000. We are looking for more pilots and technical assistance even after the event is part of our model, where we follow up and we see how these things are measured and progress. If you are interested in being a part of our pilot of an E3 assessment event in the future, please contact Dr. Tice or Dr. Aurora at these contact numbers and addresses, and they will interview you and see, and we'll see if there's an opportunity for one of our Mississippi companies. At this time, we will launch a poll. Actually, it will be 2 questions. You should be able to see in your pane the poll questions. We have 2 there. Please go and select the poll questions and participate. The first one is, have you had an energy audit in the last 3 years? The second, does your budget include funding for energy reduction or efficiency projects? We would like to know if your company has prepared and addressed these, if it's something that there's an opportunity for our being able to assist you in looking at these things internally. So I will continue on with the project. We'll give a couple more minutes for each of you to enter your results. I can see people are entering their poll information. I do want to thank you each for participating today. This is useful information for us. We can better serve Mississippi if we can have this kind of information. Okay. We're about halfway voted. Cast your votes. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker. I see we're about 75% participation. Thank you, guys. Our first speaker is Tom Winning. He's at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. He is an industrial energy efficiency program expert. In his program today, he's titled Energy Saving Opportunities for Mississippi Industries. So it's a good fit for this webinar. Tom, you have both control, and the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you for the introduction, Dallas. So really, I'm very honored and pleased to be able to talk to all of you individuals out there in cyberland. The focus of my discussion here today is really going to be at a national level and trying to highlight some of the programs that are available to manufacturers. And the DOE, the Department of Energy, it's one of my customers. I work for a national lab. It's one of the DOE's largest national labs, but I support the Department of Energy through most of their industrial energy efficiency programs. So today, I'm planning on touching on a few of those that are really focused on technical assistance and outreach and really helping people on the ground. So I flipped by, I'm struggling with the controls, but we're going to work it out here today. I'm going to touch on really 4 of the main programs that are run through the Department of Energy, as well as some of the tools and resources. In one of these, I'm really just going to skip right on over that Industrial Assessment Centers program. It's not because it's not a good program. It's an excellent program, but we have an esteemed colleague, one of my esteemed colleagues, Keith. He's going to address it a little bit later on today. So with that, I want to set the stage, and many of us, and many of you on the line know this, but energy is expensive. It is a direct impact to our bottom line, to our profitability, and to our productivity. So it's one of the major items that manufacturers can control. And across the U.S., there were some studies done and found that roughly $200 billion with a B, is spent on energy each and every year to operate manufacturing plants. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Well, some more work was done, and we looked at the potential opportunities. And at least at a national level, we're thinking, and many other groups are thinking, that there's the opportunity to invest $100 billion in energy efficiency technologies by 2020 that would result in $50 billion in savings annually. If you think about that, that's like a 2-year payback. And for many manufacturers, that's borderline. That may or may not make sense. But certainly it's eye-opening, and it's something to think about. Now, driving that home to a different level, let's just think about Mississippi. Mississippi, one of the 50 states here, they're consuming, and the manufacturers within Mississippi are actually using $2.4 billion in energy. So that's a healthy chunk of money that's being consumed and used within Mississippi manufacturers. So something to think about. I have a pie chart showing up here, and Mississippi, for your consumption, is actually a little bit larger. The industrial part is a little bit larger than the national average. The national averages for industrials are really around 33, 34%. So this is something that's very important within Mississippi and something for us to think about. So let me step back, and I'm going to talk high level, some programs that manufacturers and even in some cases non-manufacturers can take advantage of. The first one I want to touch upon is this Better Buildings, Better Plants program. So this program is actually it's a component under a national initiative by the Obama administration called the Better Buildings Initiative. The Better Plants is designed to specifically serve industrial manufacturers. There are other components of that Better Buildings Initiative that help focus on residential and commercial entities. We have some wastewater opportunities for folks in the municipal sectors. There's cities that are signed up in that program. But today I'm going to really focus on just the Better Plants, the manufacturers. And part of this Better Plants program, as well as the Better Buildings Initiative, it's a national voluntary program that encourages organizations to sign up and reduce their energy consumption, and for the manufacturers, their energy intensity. And in our case, we ask most of our partners to reduce their energy intensity 25% over 10 years. And that's a big step. That's tough to do. But for many companies, they're seeing value in making a commitment and in putting a stretch goal out there to move the organization in the direction of being more competitive in saving energy and reducing that bottom line. So for our Better Plants program, we actually have 2 different levels. One of them is the basic program level, and then we have a challenge level, which is slightly more rigorous. We ask those partners to share a bit more information, to share some tips and tools and tricks that they're using within their companies to really drive energy efficiency and drive improvements. So something to think about here. We have, right now, I'm showing on the screen 140 companies, which represents roughly 2,300 plants. And now this is across the U.S., and we're growing every day. Right now, when I put these slides together, it's already outdated. We're closer to 150 companies representing close to 2,500 plants. So it's growing, and we're looking for more partners to include in this program. In Mississippi, there's a healthy representation of manufacturers. And so for any manufacturers that are on the line, this is a great program to think about joining. And you might be asking yourself, why would I want to join a program? Well, there's a couple reasons. National recognition is one of the big drivers for many of our companies. They're doing good things, but normally there's an energy manager or an energy engineer within an organization. He's toiling away, he's doing a lot of great work, but with a little bit of recognition, it can really help propel companies' energy programs forward, and it can help drive culture change within those organizations. So national recognition is always great. As part of the commitment, the pledge to reduce energy intensity, the DOE does provide a technical account manager to work with that company and their energy manager to not only look at their numbers and help them think through their tracking, but also to think through and help them improve their energy management program, which is really important. There are a couple technical assistance activities. Dallas was mentioning the E3 program where they're providing energy assessments. We do something very similar. We call them in-plant training. So we do an energy assessment focused on various energy systems, but then we're also training people, training organizations and local companies. So it's a really good opportunity. And then there's obviously full access to DOE tools and resources and a lot of good opportunities to network. So if you're involved or you're really interested in getting involved here, you can contact the DOE guy's name's on it, Andre De Fontaine, or you can contact me. But for each one of these programs, I've flipped up some information so you can follow up with these individuals. The second main program is the Superior Energy Performance Program, and this is a certification program. That's the best way to think about it. The Better Plants program it's really for the corporate level to help instill energy management programs, help put together pieces and components to drive energy efficiency. The Superior Energy Performance Program is really a bottom-up. It focuses on plants and certifying plants and their performance improvement. So it's another really great program. The SEP program, the Superior Energy Performance Program, is based on the ISO 50001 standards. Many of you on the line are probably familiar with ISO 14001, ISO 9001. ISO 50001 came out over the last couple of years and is focused on energy management. SEP is actually built upon that energy management standard. So the ISO 50001 standard helps put together the practices, the business practices in place, and then SEP helps to certify and verify actual energy performance. So many partners are getting on board with this. Companies such as 3M and Schneider, Nissan, they have facilities that not only are ISO 50001 certified, but they're SEP certified as well, which the performance improvements are verified by third-party bodies, and it's a great certification and feather in the cap for these organizations. If you're interested in this program, you can contact a man named Paul Shine. He's up at DOE, or again, you can contact me. So the next one I'm going to talk about is CHP. Many of us out there, combined heat and power, CHP. We've been hearing a lot about it. The Obama administration has been making a big push to deploy CHP for many reasons. Because of that, DOE has had technical assistance centers set up for quite some time now to help manufacturers look at CHP opportunities within their systems. The CHP, we call them the TAPs, Technical Assistance Partnerships. They're regional organizations, and they do provide free services to not only manufacturers but other entities that are looking at deploying CHP. The technical assistance side of the house, you can think of some of the help in a couple main buckets: screening and analysis, feasibility analysis, investment grade audits, and then the operations, the maintenance, the procurement. The CHP TAPs run through the DOE can help at each one of those points. They definitely do quite a few screenings and analysis. They do some feasibility analysis as well. But then once you get to the investment grade audit, then you're involving an engineering firm, and the CHP TAPs take a backseat, but they'll review and they'll provide a lot of additional critiques, and it can, in some cases, save a project or make sure the project is correctly focused to what would benefit you the most. So if you're interested, there are a couple ways to proceed. There are regional centers set up in seven different parts of the country. The one for the Southeast, for Mississippi, is actually located over at North Carolina State University. A man named Isaac Panzarella. He's great to work with. You can reach out directly to him, or another individual you can reach out to is Claudia Ty. She's up at DOE and the program lead for that. So the last program, which I'm not even going to touch on, it's the Industrial Assessment Center. In my view, it's one of the best programs that's out there. It's run through universities, and Keith Woodbury, who's going to follow me up, he's going to talk a little bit more about that program and some of the benefits that it provides. If you're interested, I have included the information in this slide deck, so later on after these slides are sent out, you can follow up and look for this information. So the last bit of information, resources, DOE resources. So my group at Oak Ridge, and really in collaboration with many individuals through industry and different organizations, have spent well over the last decade developing tools and resources to help industry. And we have a plethora of free information on the DOE website, focusing on things from energy performance tracking to energy management to system analysis to doing the energy engineering. So not all of us are engineers and know our Bernoulli equations, but there are a couple tools out there that we can refer to do some nice quick evaluations within our plants to help get a pretty good understanding of, or a pretty good idea of, what some of the savings opportunities exist. And so the DOE does have many publications, tip sheets, fact books, ideas and things to look for, as well as some of the tools to help do the back-of-the-envelope calculation to see whether or not opportunities are worth investigating further. So those are all on the DOE website. They are great if you get a chance to go look at them. Many calculators, many resources. Again, it's all free, so it's pretty nice. So with that, really, I'm going to wrap up. All of these resources that I talked about today, from the Better Plants program to the Superior Energy Performance program to the CHP, most of these opportunities and ways of engaging with the government and with these programs are free for manufacturers. There are some costs depending on what you're doing in some of those areas, but by and large, these have all been set up to help, again, move manufacturing in the right direction to reduce their bottom lines, reduce and save some energy, and ultimately help our country, help our economy, right? So with that, I'm going to stop. If you have any questions, I have my contact information up there, and feel free to reach out to me or any of the DOE people for that matter. So Dallas, thank you. I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thanks, Tom, and appreciate you sharing with us what's going on in your agency. And I'll also say, if anyone has any questions for Tom or any of the speakers, please use the Q&A feature, the chat feature in your GoToWebinar software. We are collecting those. I see them coming in. If we have time at the end of this presentation, we will see if we can do a little Q&A answers for our panelists. We do have results of one of the polling, which was, have you had an energy audit in the last 3 years? 41% said you have. 42 have not. So this is an opportunity for you to seeing if there's an opportunity for an energy auditor to be invited in and be a part of an assessment event at your facility. So we've invited one of these experts. Keith is a part of the Industrial Assessment Center. He's been a team member with our efforts here at the Enhanced program and DEQ's pollution prevention efforts before. And so Keith will guide us through maybe some opportunities that are here in the state. Keith, you have the floor and control, so it's all yours.
Thank you, Dallas. I hope I'm coming through loud and clear. If at any point I'm not, somebody shout out. I'll make an adjustment.
Yep.
Regardless, I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today and tell you a little bit about the Alabama Industrial Assessment Center and how we can deliver energy-saving services to manufacturers in Mississippi. So as Dallas had mentioned, we've participated in 2 or 3 of the pilot programs for the E3 in Mississippi, and have had good interaction and good results from those. So we look forward to future opportunities. Make sure I can get the screen working here. I think it takes a minute or two to get some action. Okay. This slide that Tom had up a moment ago went by quickly, but just to focus on that for just a moment to talk about the Industrial Assessment Centers as a Department of Energy program. There are currently 24 of these centers located nationwide, and they are all located at major research universities. As you can see, there's a high concentration of these in the eastern part. In the past, we had a pretty good density of these centers in the southeast, but at the moment we have one in Miami in South Florida, one here in Tuscaloosa at University of Alabama, one centered at Tennessee Tech University, but servicing also with University of Memphis and East Tennessee State University. And then, as you can see, Texas A&M and North Carolina State. But regardless, our primary area of service is limited by daily driving distance, really. The general guideline is 150 miles from our center. We usually say about 200 miles, or really 3 hours driving time. That said, we do try to work with companies that are located outside of that sphere, but we do have to ask the companies to help us a little bit with our travel expenses, because it generally requires an overnight stay, and that's not part of our federal funding. So that's sort of the big picture on where the IAC centers are located across the country, and a little bit about who we are and who we service from the Alabama Industrial Assessment Center. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the IAC mission and operations, how we do what we do, and then to provide you with a little bit of an idea of what kind of projects or opportunities we frequently see at most plants that we visit. And then at the end, the time providing, there are a few just case studies, if you will, of some projects that we identified for some clients in the past. So as has been mentioned, I think throughout this presentation, the focus of Industrial Assessment Centers service delivery is the same as the manufacturing extension partnerships, and that is to what we call small to medium-sized manufacturers. We have worked with some much larger plants, some big national plants with many plant sites, but typically we're working with the small or small to medium-sized. Our goal is to help them with energy management experience, and you see there 3 things on the bullets: energy efficiency, productivity, and waste management. But I put energy efficiency in capital letters or bigger letters because that's really our primary focus. It is especially wonderful when we're able to partner with someone like the DEQ and to do the E3 type assessments when we work with teams of experts that are going to look specifically at independently at the productivity and at the waste stream or value stream mapping part of the operation. So that allows us to focus exclusively on the energy efficiency part of the picture. Secondarily, part of our mission is to really train engineers of tomorrow in energy management practices. And the Department of Energy really values this as the largest component of the impact of the Industrial Assessment Center programs. But it's only through the opportunities provided by manufacturers to let these faculty-led student teams come into their plant and look at their energy operations and to analyze those that this experience can be gained. I can just mention I'll sort of out Tom Winning on this one, but Tom came out of the Industrial Assessment Center program more than just a few years ago to go to work for the U.S. Department of Energy. Not all IAC graduates go to work for the U.S. Department of Energy, but all of them go to work somewhere. And so the experience that they gain looking at these systems and evaluating energy usage in these systems will be delivered or transformed into their workplace wherever they end up. So that's a big part of our mission as well. So what is it that we do on the assessment? These next couple of slides sort of talk about that and maybe a little bit repetitive, but I'll talk over this one mostly, and we'll look at the highlights on what follows. But before going on site, our team looks at a history of the energy usage at the plant. We ask the plant to provide us with a recent 12-month history of utility bills. And from those utility bills, we can see the annual usage patterns, if there are any, that may vary with weather or production throughout the year. But also it allows us to establish a cost basis for the plant's energy that they buy, whether that's electricity or natural gas, fuel oil, or any other source. So that analysis is done prior to going to the plant. We also ask the plant to provide us with some information before coming on site. It's a general questionnaire that we have about what type of equipment they have and what their concerns might be about energy usage equipment. And so prior to going on site, the team meets, discusses these energy bills, talks about any opportunities that we think we will see, and makes preparations. We go to the plant for a one-day visit. That's both good and bad. One day means that it's a minimal disruption to the plant's production activities. We're very aware that the main purpose of the plant is to make widgets, whatever those widgets might be. And then we're only there for one day, so we hope to not cause too much disruption. But the downside of that is that we don't get to look as deeply into things as we might want to or need to in some cases. And so quite often there's a little bit of follow-on requests for information from the plant to help us fill in the gaps of things that we might not have observed or questions that arise after our visit. So we're on site for one day. We go through and look at all of their energy using equipment. We gather as much information as we can towards two objectives. One is the thing that most people are interested in, and that's we identify opportunities for energy savings and do energy savings calculations and estimate an implementation cost and therefore a simple payback period for a number of potential energy savings projects. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing that we do for the client is we analyze their energy usage. We look at all the energy consuming equipment they have in their plant, and we estimate how much it's used and how intensely it's used, and then we deliver a summary of that that gives them a great idea of where the energy they purchased, where that goes into their plant, where that goes into their process. Literally, it's a pie chart that gives them a breakdown of how much energy is going for motors, how much is going for heating and air conditioning, how much is going for lighting, how much is going for air compressors, and so forth. So those two objectives are the outcome from our one-day on-site visit. Our reporting period is 60 days. We're required by our program guidelines to deliver a report in 60 days. And it's during this 60-day period that, as I said, there's a lot of communication with the plant, both with requests for supplemental information, as I mentioned earlier, but also we provide a weekly update to the plant on the status of the investigation. And as energy savings for planned projects or identified projects are calculated, then those are fed forward to the plant personnel through weekly communication. And then there is an implementation follow-up at a 12-month, 9 to 12-month time frame, where we get back in touch with the plant and ask them to visit that list of recommendations that we put before them and to learn which of those things did they actually implement and which ones did they not. And so that is spelled out in a little bit more detail on this slide. I think I touched on most of those things on that previous talk through, but I've included this slide. It's just sort of the soup to nuts, the type of information on the activities that the Industrial Assessment Center provides through its standard assessment. This picture I took from the Department of Energy, actually from the Rutgers website. The Rutgers University is the manager for these 24 industrial assessment centers across the U.S., and they maintain a website with a lot of metrics and demographic information. And what you're seeing there is the map from their website. Each one of those dots represents a company or a plant that our center has serviced. And the green shaded area is that approximate 150-mile radius from our center. And as you can see, we've worked with quite a few centers that fall outside of that area. But as I said, we do that generally just with some support from the plant. I guess it looks like there's about 3 dots there clustered in the around the Jackson, Mississippi area. We have been to Jackson, Mississippi 2 or 3 times, and that's not been overnight stays. So that's within our 3-hour driving time. Regardless, there's just a little information about our specific center there on the right. We're now in our 8th year of operation. The IAC program itself is about 30-plus years of history, maybe 35. But our center here at University of Alabama is in its 8th year of operation. And in our experience, our recommendations typically potentially can save 5 to 20% of the plant's total energy use. I say that's in our recommendations. The implementations might be less, and that's what you see down below there on the last bullet. But regardless, that information was pulled from the Rutgers website regarding the number of assessments that we've made and the impacts from those assessments. Some specific energy savings that our center identified. First of all, just to give you some context, this is a random sample of the energy savings from a report that we generated, and it's typical of what we would do is that for each of the various systems or areas, as you see on the left, lighting, insulation opportunities, compressed air, HVAC, and water. For each one of those, we may have 1 or more recommendations, as you see listed there. And for each one, we identify if it's natural gas savings, how much energy that is, if it's electricity savings, how many kilowatt hours a year that is, if there are electrical demand reduction, what that is. Something our center does that's not required, we started a few years ago, but we also list a carbon dioxide reduction for each one of the recommendations that we make. And as you can see, there's a cost savings, total cost savings impact, and then also an estimate of the implementation cost with a simple payback period listed for each potential savings. Some specific projects that we see in the area of lighting. The most common is to replace the older metal halide type of high-intensity discharge lighting with an alternative. We still currently recommend generally the T5 or the T8 type of fluorescent lighting. However, the LED lighting is becoming more cost-effective and is probably going to overtake fluorescent lighting even in the industrial sector here shortly. But we still recommend fluorescent lighting to replace the metal halide lamps. Controls for lighting can save a significant fraction depending on the areas that are available for deployment and the estimated off time that might result. And then sometimes we see this in a lot of plants. There's lighting that's on that's just not needed. It's illuminating a place where there are no people. So removing that can often save quite a bit. In the area of compressed air, the top two savings opportunities are to lower the air pressure to the lowest possible level and to fix leaks. If you do those things, those are also low-cost opportunities. You've saved the vast majority. If you have multiple compressors, you want to make sure you're only running compressors when you need them, and those next two recommendations speak to that. And then finally, in some cases, it can be cost-effective to install a variable speed drive compressor, especially in cases where you have a lot of variation in the demand for compressed air. Heating and air conditioning, you see some projects listed there using airside economizers. Simple thermostat adjustments can save energy. The challenge with all of the heating and air opportunities are constraints on manufacturing that might have temperature and humidity restrictions, and or just human comfort. You know, a lot of times having a happy and productive workforce is more important than saving money on heating and air conditioning. So that always comes down to a plant level decision. The last thing is in the area of boilers and combustion projects, recovering stack waste heat by installing a preheater to preheat feed water for the boiler can trim the increased boiler efficiency a little bit. And also oxygen controls to limit oxygen to the amount that's needed for combustion. Those are the main items. And I think with that, these other examples that I have here, I'll just skip through in the interest of time, but I'll wrap it up there. I've put our contact information there. If anyone has interest in an assessment from our center, feel free to contact me, or feel free to contact people at Innovate MEP. We work with them and through them to provide energy assessments in Mississippi. So with that, Dallas, I throw it back to you. Thanks for the opportunity to talk a little bit about our center today.
Keith, thank you. Very valuable information. A lot of great opportunities that you talked about. I recall going through those plants with you and your team and hearing your reports, and this is getting a lot of low-hanging fruit, and you do good work. Thanks. Part of the poll questions that were indicated that 72% said you do not have a budget that would provide for funding for energy products. So with that, we've got Blake Kelly. He can tell you about some MDA initiatives. He's with the policy, planning, and research. So I think Blake is going to tell us about these funding opportunities for savings. Blake, you have control and the floor.
Okay, thank you, Dallas. Well, like Dallas said, I'm with the Mississippi Development Authority's Energy and Natural Resources Division. And one thing we were asked to and wanted to speak about is about the utility energy efficiency programs that are going to be offered here in the state. I want to go ahead and start off by prefacing that these are not our programs, they're not MDA programs, they're provided by the utilities. And they've been working very diligently to get these programs up and running in coordination with their administrators. And we just wanted to kind of do a broad brush general overview, and then we'll get into a couple of programs that MDA can offer to help supplement any projects that participants may want to implement in their facilities. So I guess to start off, give a little background about how we got where we are in terms of utility energy efficiency programs. In July of 2013, the Mississippi Public Service Commission adopted Chapter 29, Conservation and Energy Efficiency Programs, which is it was a landmark rule, and it's the state's first rule to support statewide energy efficiency program implementation. And the utilities in Mississippi will be the ones implementing the programs in cooperation, in some cases, with third-party administrators. Utilities, in some cases, are working with companies who specialize in implementing energy efficiency programs in order to carry out the implementation of their program offerings. And Chapter 29 established a quick start phase and a comprehensive phase, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a couple of minutes. So some aspects of the rule that was adopted. Utilities with over 25,000 meters fell under the rules, fell under the requirements of the rule. The rule allows for cost recovery, so utilities will be made whole for providing the programs to their customers. The rule provides for industrial programs, so that's something it's not in other states that have energy efficiency programs. Not every state has industrial programs, and so we'll have the opportunity here in Mississippi to have industrial programs. And then in the comprehensive phase, the portfolio proposals that will be made by the utilities to the PSC will be evaluated based on the entire portfolio, not individual programs. And so that will really support program diversity and a lot of options for customers. So here's an implementation timeline. You see July 11, 2013 is the date the rule was adopted. 6 months after that, utilities filed their Quick Start programs with the PSC for consideration. And throughout 2014, kind of on a rolling basis, the PSC approved the program filings of the utilities. And now we are in the Quick Start phase. And that phase will last for 3 years. It's 2014, 2015, and 2016. And then at the beginning of 2017, we'll have a comprehensive portfolio phase. So what is Quick Start versus comprehensive? Well, Quick Start just means that these are programs that have been proven in other jurisdictions, programs that have a long history of success, and they're also ones that are relatively quick to roll out. So, so they're things that help to provide experience for the utilities and administrators and infrastructure build-out. You got to think about a real strong need for workforce development and for hiring folks to be able to implement the programs and for training. That all takes time, and Quick Start allows that time in order to build out that infrastructure and build those supplier networks and trade ally partnerships. So what are some programs that are going to be offered during the Quick Start phase? Well, they fall into two broad categories. They're prescriptive and custom. It's pretty intuitive what that entails. Prescriptive are programs that are offered. You know what they are. They're on a sort of a prospectus from the utility, and they can be selected. They may be a rebate for lighting, HVAC tune-up, other high-efficiency equipment, boilers, and things like that. A rebate for installation of those types of measures. They generally don't require a detailed engineering analysis in order to be implemented. And as opposed to custom, those are site-specific measures that are not included in the prescriptive. Those are it's particularly the case that those are a good option in many instances at industrial facilities where you may want to have someone come in and evaluate your needs and provide a custom option. And those require site-specific energy analysis and costs in most cases, and they could include energy management systems, compressed air, whole building systems, induction lighting, and those sorts of measures. Let's see. Okay. So what are some programs that may be offered? Now, this is certainly not an exhaustive or comprehensive list. We wanted to give kind of a general flavoring of what types of programs may be offered. And as always, if you have specific questions or things that you'd like to do in your facility, what we recommend is that you contact your utility representative, either at your electric utility or your natural gas utility. But some offerings may include retrofit lighting rebates. That was pretty across the board on the electric side. HVAC incentives and chillers, variable frequency drives, high efficiency appliances, so that may include boilers, boilers or other types of equipment. Those incentives are in place. Plug load incentives and energy management system enhancements. And collectively, among all the utilities, more than $26 million has been allocated to the implementation of Quick Start programs over this first 3-year Quick Start phase. So there really is quite a bit of opportunity available if a particular customer is interested in taking advantage of these opportunities. So we really encourage that you contact your utility for more information about what types of services and programs that are going to be offered to you in your particular circumstance. So now moving out of the energy efficiency utility programs into some program offerings that MDA has that can help supplement those offerings. MDA, Energy and Natural Resources Division, offers an energy efficiency revolving loan fund, which provides low-interest loans to finance projects that make energy-conserving capital improvements, increase the efficiency of industrial processes, or utilize alternative energy resources. And you see the list of eligible applicants there on the second bullet point. Applicants can include corporations, partnerships, sole proprietors, hospitals, institutions of higher learning, public school districts, and local government entities. So it's really a very open group for eligible applicants, and we encourage anyone on the call who's interested in the fund to contact our office, and we'll have the contact information on the slide after this. So some eligible measures for the fund include retrofit equipment, heating and cooling, lighting fixtures, insulation, cogeneration systems, furnaces, boilers, waste heat recovery systems, energy management controls, and windows, as well as process equipment. So kilns, billet ovens, refrigeration systems, variable steam, and hydraulic equipment. There are really, it's pretty a broad list of eligible measures that could be implemented, and you may be able to implement these in part of a comprehensive energy efficiency project within your facility. So we encourage you to think broadly and creatively about what types of things that you'd like to do. Lighting is obviously a very easy choice. In many cases, lighting has very direct and immediate savings, and it's very noticeable that way. But we also encourage you to think creatively about putting together a project that includes other measures so you get those deeper, more comprehensive cost savings. So terms for the loan fund can be out to 10 years. The interest rate is 2% below prime, which I don't know. The last time I checked the prime rate, it was 3.25%. It's probably still somewhere around there. So that would mean that the interest rate you'd have on this loan is 1.25%, fairly low. The minimum loan is $15,000. The maximum loan amount is $500,000, and it's required to be fully collateralized if you do enter into a loan agreement. So for more information, contact Terrence Spears in our office at 601-359-3449 or at Mississippi.org/energy. His contact information will be there under Energy and Natural Resources Team. His email is tspears@mississippi.org. So thank you. And if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask those here in this time we have remaining.
Thank you, Blake. Very good to know what you guys have been doing for the state of Mississippi. We appreciate you being with us today. We've taken the opportunity to put as a starting point for many of you to maybe jump off into where to start. We've had some contact information put up here for your benefit. We will post this entire set of slides. We will send these to you electronically, so you will have this information. You don't have to write it down quickly, but these are just some of the utilities that are that have some resources available to you today. So this is a good starting point, depending on where you are in the state. So we do have resources here at DEQ. These are the kinds of webinars and the kinds of outreach events that we're trying to organize for your benefit. If you have any questions, please call me at the contact information there. I'll be happy to assist you and direct you. We do have some questions. I think we have about 2 minutes. I'll see if I can get 1 or 2 behind us. Tom, looks like this may be a question for you. Tom, are warehousing and distribution centers eligible for the same programs that are available to manufacturers?
So we do have a couple. Sometimes, a lot of times it's on a case-by-case basis when we start to get further away from traditional manufacturing. Any company with an NAICS code of in the 31 to 33 range is 100% in. If it's outside of that, then we are happy to talk and discuss. Let's put it that way. But we do have a couple partners that they're manufacturing, but they have a lot of distribution and warehouse. So something we can talk about.
Very good. And you guys can contact Tom directly if you want to follow up. Keith, last question of the afternoon is directed to you. What is typical air pressure in facilities you have seen?
What have we seen, or what should it be? That's a big difference. Yeah, what we typically see is that when people get a new air compressor, and you know, they always want to have plenty of air pressure, so they probably get one that's rated at 125 psi, and they stick it out there on the plant floor, and they set it up, and it's rated at 125, so they have air at 125 psi. Really, it needs to be in the 100 psi range, and we challenge plants to get it down to 90 psi or lower. That said, to more come to the question, we do see air pressure in plants in the 95 to 100, 110 psi range. I mean, that's pretty typical of what we see when we come in.
Very good. And those are the practical kinds of things that we would like to share with everybody. You know, sometimes you just make good guesses of how to run your operations, but there's an optimal, maximized efficiency setting to many of these, and that's what we want to share. We want to be in the business of sharing best practices. And I want to thank everybody, Tom, Keith, and Blake, for your time today. Thank you, each of you, for participating in this event. We will reach out electronically to everyone who provided their contact information when they registered for this. Please stay tuned for future events such as this. Our goal, as I stated, was to have a quarterly schedule of these kinds of webinars. This was the first in a series, so we hope to add value to your plants, your facilities by sharing these kinds of resources and experiences. So I will sign off by thanking each of you for your dedication to energy efficiency in Mississippi. Please contact me if I can assist you in locating Mississippi companies to partner with and experts in your area. Each of you have a good day, and we'll see you next time.